So after weeks of rumors, we finally have got a Nintendo Direct this week of the mini partner showcase variety. So what went down overall, Swinny, before we jump into our key highlights? People didn't like this. Some people did. How did you feel about this?
I think this is a very strong showing that unfortunately was relying too much on games that were already a known thing. We just didn't know they were known Switch thing.
Yeah.
And obviously it was a partner showcase, so anybody wanting a first party thing was always going to be disappointed because that wasn't the point. But I liked it. I think there were some great announcements.
Yeah, I really liked it. Very low expectations. It's not a straight up Nintendo Direct, so you can't have that type of hype for it. And then you look back at some of the partner showcases. Some of them, I remember we live reacted to other ones that were a bit like, oh, okay, pretty hit and miss. We did a live reaction to this one if you want to watch it, but I think we both said at the end, and I still feel the same. Pretty good overall. I think the biggest thing was like, there was nothing new that excited me, right? Like, there's games that have existed, but yeah. And I kind of almost put the Steam games out of that category, which is probably the wrong thing to do. Like, sometimes the Steam game will come to Switch and I'll be like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And I kind of almost feel like it's a brand new game because it hasn't got a big audience yet. But overall, pretty good.
I think the trouble for me as well is that I always get excited about stuff, especially Nintendo related stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't use my Switch anymore, really. I'll use it. I probably haven't used it in about 3 months.
Whoa. Holy shit, dude.
Maybe even longer.
I got to get on Smash with you.
So the thing is, even if I get excited, it's going to take a lot to get me to actually go play the Switch, just because I've got so many other games, and I just would rather play, my fancy newer consoles on my new TV. So it's just the nature of it. But I think, I guess let's get into some of the cool stuff that they showed.
Yeah, I reckon a Mario game would be the thing that gets you back. Like a new Mario game, Mario Galaxy 3, whatever it is. So our highlights that we had of the show, and it opened with this as well, which was a bit of a shock. Nier Automata, The End of YoRHa, is that right? Edition?
YoRHa, and it was after the sun. It opened with a Sunbreak trailer, and then went into this one. Yeah.
I mean,
YoRHa.
That was always going to happen. They've got a good relationship with Capcom. I'm sure that's part of the deal. So the Sunbreak thing revealed a few more of the monsters, but nothing exciting, I don't think. But yeah, this actually, I avoid the rumors. I don't really actually get that much news, like rumor news. Like, it just doesn't hit my feed normally anyway. But yeah, Nier Automata really shocked me. A game that I just haven't given the time to play. I've only played for like 2 or 3 hours. And it was literally like, played it, like, this is the original PS4 version. Played it for 2 or 3 hours and I'm like, this game is like so cool, right? Literally, I was like saying to you guys, I'm like, I freaking already love this game. And I just didn't go back to it for some reason. I think it was almost like this game is going to drag me into its universe and lore and weirdness that I kind of just put it down because I was nervous about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if you want to do everything in the game, it's not a super long game compared to like other your more traditional JRPGs and stuff. So,
but is it a JRPG?
No, but I'm saying like of that vibe, because it's definitely got some vibes to that. I'm saying like don't expect this to be like a massively long game like those. Although there's meat to it. One thing I'll say though is that the lore part where you're like, okay, now I'm super interested in the lore part, that would probably suck you in because there's so much to that, and when you add in all the near replicant stuff that kind of links into it, tenuously, but there are links. But yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon for anyone that's playing this on, that wants to play this on Switch. Obviously, it's not going to have the horsepower of the others. But this game I think is fine because the gameplay is great, but the story I think is really what hooks people. And I just hope that, I don't know, obviously like it would be better on the new Switch OLED, but there is some small font in that game, so I hope they upscale a little bit for people that want to play on Switch handheld. So I just hope they do a bit of work there. But anyway.
Yeah, and like I don't want to go on about it too long, but just the dialogue around frames per second and everything like that, it's starting to it's so weird. I feel like there's been a massive pendulum shift in this space. I remember like I don't know what it was, like 3, 4, 5 years ago we'd always be like, hey, we want 60 frames per second. Like this bullshit stuff of like dodgy frame rate games, it's unacceptable, right? And I've always been in that position. But now I feel like it's gone the other way, where it's like people are like, oh, this game's 30 frames per second. Oh, it's unplayable. It's horrible. I'm like, well, hang on. It's kind of nuanced. It's like a game that has like a very locked 30 frames per second, for me, can be very playable. Like Monster Hunter Rise, I have it on PC thanks to Capcom, and then also on the Switch where I bought it, and I prefer playing the Switch version. Like the PC version looks fucking way better, and it's like whatever it is, 60 frames plus, right? But it's just the convenience. I can put it on my TV, play it, as I'm going around. And I kind of look at this game as well. If this game is like anything like, what's that other game from the same studio? Astral Chain.
Yeah.
Which, I like, that's a 30 frames per second game. I played a bunch of that game. I loved it. I didn't have an issue with it. I'd love if it was 60, but it's not like unplayable. Like, where I'm always coming from is where games are choppy. You know what I mean? And it's so noticeable. Like you're playing through it and it's like, oh, this is just horrible, right? So anyway, bit of a diversion. But talking about JRPGs, and feels like this one was coming for, what is it? 3 or 4 years since the Joker announcement with Smash. They finally revealed Persona 3, 4, and 5, starting with 5, coming to the Switch. So crazy stuff. Feels like a match made in heaven.
Definitely. This is long overdue, especially for the Switch. The fact that the whole Joker thing, but also the fact that Shin Megami Tensei 5 came out on the Switch, it just felt like a match made in heaven. I'm so happy that, the Switch owners weren't left out when we had the announcements at the Xbox showcase, and then they said it's also coming. They're also all going to be on PS5 and on Steam and everything, if they weren't already. And I'm just glad that they, it was obvious that they just waited. They just wanted to have that as a nice piece on this, direct. Which it's possible that this direct was meant to happen a bit earlier, and that gap wouldn't have made as much sense, as in like it wouldn't have been as big. But whatever, it's coming. I think there'd be absolute perfect games for the Switch. I'm looking forward to playing them as well when they come. I'll probably be playing them on Xbox, obviously for achievements as well. But yeah. Great news.
No, really awesome news. We should say Nier Automata Switch is coming out on the 6th of October. And Persona 5 Royal is going to be the 21st of October. And then with Persona 3 and 4 coming in 2023. I'm actually like, I've still got PC Game Pass. They're coming for free on PC Game Pass as part of the subscription, but for free, quote unquote. I'm actually seriously, it sounds nuts. I'm tempted to just buy it on the Switch. From a lifestyle point of view, the Switch is like, it probably allows me to play games like an extra hour or two, because I can just turn it off, put it down like straight away. I'm in the lounge room, all this other kind of stuff. It's just, very difficult for me to get dedicated gaming time in dad mode. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you have to commute at all. That's going to be the best way to play that. So
yeah, and I probably need to commute more and more, just with the way things are evolving. I'll probably have to start going back to the office like 3 days a week instead of one. I think I am at the moment. So
that's an additional like 5 to 6 hours of Persona time.
It's also such a long game. Like like it's like a 150-hour game, right? It's crazy. Like at least 100-hour game. So I just don't sit down on PC or. Like I actually play my PlayStation 5 in my PC setup, which sounds weird, but that's the way I play it, just because of the situation I'm in. So I sound like a prisoner or something. And one game that I'm super pumped about and really, really looking forward to getting, and probably the reason why I won't get Persona 5 Royal for a while, because it comes out a day before on the 20th of October, is Mario+Rabbids, or Mario+Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. So we finally got the release date. And there was also a gameplay video that came out later in the week that I watched. One notable thing that we've put in our notes is the composers, Grant Kirkhope, so that's Mario+Rabbids, Banjo-Kazooie fame. Gareth, is it Cocker?
I always say Cocker.
I've never said his name out loud.
I always say Cocker, but...
Oh, okay, Cocker. Ori and Halo Infinite's composer, and then Yoko Shimamura. Is that right?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 and Kingdom Hearts fame. So pretty damn good composers. But watching the gameplay footage, I didn't realize how different the combat was because they spoke about it more, you know? And it's like, oh, no. They've gotten rid of the grid completely. You have pretty much free movement. I'm like, this is like really weird. Like, I'm I'm kind of confident in the team. So I'm they've got my trust after the first game. But I'm actually like nervous is the wrong way to say it, but I just don't know how it's going to go. Like, I just don't get it, like how they've done it like this and how they've balanced it out to make it work. So it's going to be really fascinating.
Well, I mean, you've got, XCOM and a lot of these games, like especially games like Wasteland 2, where they're similar, but there's no specific grid. There might be grid for when you're taking cover and there's specific like blocks, but generally they're not like played out on a grid all the time. So I think you'll be fine. I think it's probably good for them to mix stuff up, because there's always the first game people can go back to if they want that as well. But one word of warning to people, as part of when we set this show up, I have to help out with some hashtags on our social posts for these clips and everything. Word of warning, be careful looking up any hashtags related to Mario and Rabbids or Sparks of Hope, because there's a lot of people out there making some very unfortunate imagery about some of the new characters.
Rule 34 kind of...
Some very bad stuff out there, so just be careful.
I just think it's funny that you had to look at all that stuff. But, that's pretty prevalent in a lot of hashtags. Like, I was looking up some Fire Emblem stuff just to, like, actually... learn some stuff about Fire Emblem. I'm like, what are people posting this shit on Twitter? Like, it's insane. I'm like, keep clicking. Where's Edelgard? And then the last thing that we wanted to highlight. So I will get this game day one, not Persona 5 Royal, but maybe I don't know. I don't know if it won't ever go on sale. Anyway, my thoughts, inside thoughts rather than outside thoughts. The last game that we looked at and we're like, ooh, okay, this is kind of interesting, was Portal, the companion collection. Portal and Portal 2, incredible games. Definitely would be games that if you had a video game Hall of Fame have to be there, right, Swinny?
Oh, yeah. It depends how big the Hall of Fame is, though.
Well, I'll say it like this.
We're talking 100 games? We're talking 200 games?
I'll say it like this, though. If Portal and Portal 2 aren't in your Hall of Fame, you haven't defined the Hall of Fame well.
No, I love these games. I'm very happy they're on Switch for people. The thing with these games is, outside of obviously people that are a bit younger, I just almost assume that people have played these games
already.
They haven't. And that's the thing. It's like, I think it's great to have another platform. I don't know how much these are actually going for cost-wise, this collection.
It was actually very affordable. So, like, I was just looking at the Australian prices, because even I was like, I'm still livid that we didn't put Portal 2 in our 2011 big week. Shut the hell up. It should have been there. It was disgusting that it wasn't there. It's ranked number 3, Portal 2, on the IGN games of all time.
It wasn't in my top 6 games of that year. I love the game, but that year was a busy year.
Fair.
And you chose to do a podcast with people that love RPGs.
I know. I got freaking railroaded big time on that show.
Look, I would give, in hindsight, the fact that you guys weren't over the moon with it, we could, swap in LA Noire for it, because I think that was the game we ended up going with. But
yeah,
I just assumed you guys would probably like that more than you did. So
yeah, well, I wanted to play LA Noire, which is kind of a bad thing. But I did also just assume that Portal 2 was going to make it, so I played it as well. Anyway, 28 Australian dollars for Portal 1 and 2. Good. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
That's a bloody great deal. Like, if you have not played these games, play these games. Like, get this on Switch. It'd be awesome.
I kind of wish they would have put Orange Box on as well, like, because we know that there's some Half-Life 2 stuff that's been left in this collection, so weird, and people have hacked it to be able to play some of that stuff.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So
I'm actually really glad they didn't, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like if they put Orange Box, it actually takes the focus off Portal and puts it all on Half-Life 2.
Well, to me, that's the best game Valve's ever made to me. So I would be all right with that focus being on Half-Life 2.
No, but I just think they could actually release a Half-Life 2, Ep 1, Ep 2 bundle separately. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not bad value. $28 for Portal and Portal 2 is insane value. And then also, then you'd have Team Fortress 2. Like, what are you going to do? Put Team Fortress 2 on the Switch? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but to me, it'd be like, okay, you just swap that out for Portal 2 and that's your collection, you know? But anyway, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot that. Yeah, that's right. Because of Portal 1, that was on the orange box. That's right, yeah. But getting back to this, yeah, super cool. Like, literally, I've just beaten Portal 2 recently, and I'm still like, ooh, I guess I'll get a Steam Deck one day, so that'd be really dumb to buy this. But, it's just such a cool game, man. I know like a lot of people have played Portal and Portal 2, but if you haven't, I just feel like it's kind of like a must-play game. So yeah, look, like the direct overall, I think was pretty decent. Interesting, Swinny, because you did say that, you know, it's gonna happen a direct. I don't know if that's the direct that they were talking about.
I think it was, yeah.
Wow, that's pathetic then, these rumor mongers. I kind of do wonder though when we'll get a proper first party Nintendo Direct.
Well, September makes sense because I think they did a big one last September. So,
yeah.
But Nintendo's also Nintendo. They just do things differently.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
You know?
I just like the biggest one that still stands out to me is Mario. That we don't know anything about the next Mario game. And did Bowser's Fury really kind of like throw them off, not off course, but kind of like take so much time that is then extended the gap? Because this is now becoming the longest gap between Mario games ever. Which just seems really weird to me. It seems like just, yeah. Why wouldn't they have DLC for Odyssey? I'll never understand that. Nintendo, that's the explanation.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into something I know you would be super keen on, and I'm partially keen.